Hello, my name is Jonathan Uresco, and I'm an implementation engineer here at Jamf. Implementation engineers work with both current and prospective customers to develop unique and advanced workflows. 2, we build out integrations to further solidify their implementation of the Jamf platform in their environment. The end goal? To streamline operations, make the lives of the IT admin easier, and enhance their client's user experience. Jamf Pro is an incredibly robust piece of software, and when I was a customer, I was blown away by the extensive API. I was very new to scripting and coding at the time, but it was the Jamf API that piqued my interest to learn more about it. You could say, you had me at Hello World. In this presentation, we'll be discussing the power of Jamf Pro itself, dive into some automation concepts, dive even deeper into how to use time as a trigger for automation, and check out a real-world example. By default, Jamf Pro comes with so many automation features out of the box. Smart groups, patch management and reporting. The Jamf binary itself accomplishes a ton of automation. Now, I'm old enough to remember having to touch every single device when imaging. With Jamf paired with the Apple Enterprise tools of MDM, volume purchase, and automated device enrollment, we can create even more seamless and autonomous workflows. There are tons of more features that enable automation in the Apple ecosystem, and if you couldn't tell by now, I'm a big fan of telling those automated robots to do the work for me. I mentioned imaging has been replaced by zero-touch provisioning. This has been an incredible workflow that Jamf has helped organizations utilize when onboarding a new employee, student, or client. After all, there is no step 3. Automated reporting on device compliances and their remediation is built in with device searches, smart groups, and scoping with policies and config profiles. Self-service can even offload a whole slew of workflows for the end user to remediate themselves. No more IT calls for cleaning up caches, forcing reboots, making temporary admins, etc. There are an endless amount of workflows, and organizations are very different. I've definitely found myself, though, saying it, and I'm sure you have found yourself saying it too. I wish Jamf Pro could do this one more thing. There are a ton of resources that can assist in accomplishing that one more thing. Perhaps another admin has accomplished the task, or maybe there's a community member of Jamf Nation that is dying to help you out. Jamf Support is a great resource as well, as they've worked directly with customers and may know of a customer that has found success integrating with a specific solution you may be looking at. We have an ever-growing list of integrations and tools on the Jamf Marketplace, some free, some paid, but there's a chance that after this presentation, your interest too will be piqued, and you'll find yourself at developer.jamf.com making your own integrations and building your own IT robots. Now, taking a step back, I mentioned a lot of tools Jamf has by default, and you will most likely accomplish those tasks using the GUI, or Graphical User Interface. This is the thing that you log into via a web browser and set up your Jamf Pro server to manage your devices. Most may understand the Hello World reference as a cliché programming response. When using software programmatically, you use scripts or command line interfaces, such as Terminal, to interact with the software and accomplish your tasks. As I mentioned previously, Jamf Pro has a very robust API that you can do just that. This is the highly visual Jamf Pro GUI. You see colors and text and images and a single pane of glass that's easy for the human eye to interpret. Robots don't require visuals. Instead, they can get and manipulate data via the Jamf Pro API. Jamf Pro's REST API can be accessed by navigating to your Jamf URL and appending /API. For instance, if your company was named company, your URL would be https://company.jamfcloud.com/API. You will see all the endpoints you have access to make your integrations or further automate your workflows. Now, I said you can do similar things in the API as you can in the GUI. How do you get a computer record in Jamf? That get is all caps for a reason. But to get some info, you log into Jamf, click Computers, search for the device, and click on the desired computer record. Your data will be shown in a human-readable format. Now, if you want to get a computer record in Jamf via API, you use the same tools, your URL and login and search, but this time it's formatted in text. The response data that is returned is in a structure, but it sure isn't pretty to read or look at. We'll leave it to the robot to parse. Let's break down that API command. Action. Get. To get via API means you're looking to retrieve information. But from where? The location is your Jamf Pro URL with that API endpoint that I mentioned earlier. In this case, we are getting a computer record and searching for the specific serial number. You can accomplish this with the endpoint /JSSResource/computers/serial number followed by the desired serial number. Of course, you have to log in. You don't want just anyone to have access to the information. You need credentials, and the Jamf API can accept plain text passwords, tokens, or encoded authentication. And finally, via the GUI, we get images on a screen, but computers don't need images. They can just read info via text. That's where we can tell the Jamf Pro to send back a response via the data format, such as XML, which is similar to a plist. The note at the bottom addresses using base64 encoded authentication. You can pass that encoded authentication or plain text passwords with the classic API. Tokens, as I mentioned earlier, are for the Jamf Pro API, which is currently in beta. Now, that's how you get information, but how do you manipulate data or tell Jamf to do a thing? If we're going to send a mobile device command via GUI, you log in, click mobile devices, search by serial number, click on the record, click management, then click the desired command. That's a lot of keystrokes. Imagine doing that for every single mobile device in your fleet. We can do it via API too. A lot of this looks similar to the previous API command for get, but we have a new player that has entered the field. Post. By sending a command with post, that means you are sending data to Jamf and creating a new record. The location, authentication, and data format is similar, but since we are telling Jamf to do something to a device, we have to give it a little more information to accomplish that task. And we can even loop this command multiple times for as many devices as we'd like. If you notice, there's an ID value of 2. That can be replaceable, and it can be a replaceable value inside of a script, and we can process the same command for each of those devices. This could save you hundreds, if not thousands of clicks, all while eliminating human error. Now, there's more to REST API functions, and I highly recommend you try it out yourself. 2, you can interact with a Jamf Pro via XML, or as I mentioned, another format called JSON, depending on what you're looking to accomplish. You can also update records via what's known as an API put, and then you can delete via API via, well, delete. If you are familiar with Bash or Z Shell, there's a built-in way to interact with the API via curl. If you're more into JS or Python, you can also interact with the Jamf Pro API as well. There are some great tools out on Jamf Nation and Jamf Marketplace that are written in various languages. So as you start your journey to build out your integration, check out some of those great examples. Now, there are so many reasons to use the API, and if you can offload some day-to-day routine tasks to a robot to accomplish them, you'll have more time to develop more incredible end-user experiences. Chances are, those new workflows and experiences you create with your newfound time will too be automations. Robotics and other combinations will make the world pretty fantastic compared to today. That's for sure. Gone are the days of manually going into system preferences and sharing to rename a computer, or making sure all devices are on the right operating system and all their third-party software is up to date. I remember those days. Now, triggers in Jamf are not a new concept, but maybe if you've only used iOS, they are. In MDM, you either have deploy now or self-service. What if you wanted to send a profile or lift a profile or send a command on another trigger other than immediately? Well, you could use time as that trigger. With that command we talked about earlier, send that remote command to an iOS device or many iOS devices. So in plain terms, let's say we wanted to send a command to an iOS device after school ended. We would need to create a task similar to at 3 p.m. run the automation. To get started building this automation, you need to plan. You need to know what you're looking to accomplish, who requires that action to be done, when you're going to do it, and then how you're going to do it. You need to tell Jamf to do the thing somehow. Policies aren't the same as MDM commands. You don't have once per computer or every week. You could go into the GUI on a per device basis, or if you needed to do multiple devices at a specific time, you could use the API. Maybe we could even tell Siri to do it. Now, if you answered yes to do you have multiple devices to do this to, then you can answer the following questions. We are looking to send a mobile device remote command to multiple devices that require an iOS update when? After school hours. And we're going to accomplish this via the API. Keep in mind, it doesn't make sense to send the mobile device command to all devices at once. Why? Well, that list is endless. But it could include something similar to network restrictions. Some devices may have old OS for a particular app or restriction that's needed. Devices may be off. Devices may have not checked in. Devices may be out of storage capacity, etc. So to properly make sure you are getting the necessary devices up to date, you can make a search with the proper criteria to get the update. I'd even recommend multiple advanced searches to make sure you can properly monitor the deployment, ensure there's no network bottlenecks, and to make sure you aren't overwhelmed in case of issues arise during the update or after the update. Now the how. Once you have your script to update all the devices per the advanced search, you could use a launchd if you have a spare Mac that is just sitting around, or you can use a VM or the cloud with any of the Unix operating systems, either Linux or Mac. You have a tool at your disposal called cron. What is cron? If you're unfamiliar with cron, it's a very low-level way to accomplish a task via a specific time. When your computer or server hits a specific time, cron can run that task or script you specify. You can choose a specific day or have something run every day at a specific time, or even at multiple times a day. There's much more to cron than what I show on this slide. These are just some of the basics. So now that you have your plan, we can develop the workflow. Let's start with those mobile advanced searches. Determine the number of devices requiring the update. From there, based on all the criteria, make that number of advanced searches and note the Jamf IDs that are created as you make those searches. You can find those in the URL at the top. Say you are a school and you wanted to do a by class or by grade update. Group out those devices by class or grade. If you're all remote, maybe you don't have network limitations. You just want to make sure that the devices, though, with appropriate battery and storage can get the appropriate update at the students' homes. Or maybe if you're remote and the devices are LTE, maybe that's a consideration as well. Data caps and pricing are a thing. This will probably take the most amount of the time as you're going through this workflow, but once you have your groups, setting up the automation is much easier. For that script, we're going to have two different API actions. But the second, which is sending the post command, will be completed multiple times, one per device. Here's something to note. Because we are using the API to accomplish the task, we'd want to make sure that the account that we use to authenticate can only do that necessary task. This is best practice, as you want to make sure there aren't credentials floating around on a computer that can give someone that finds them more power than desired. If you use a cloud server, maybe it's best to have a cert-based auth or two-factor. If you're on a local machine or a machine that doesn't have external access, you want to make sure that the hardware itself remains safe. For those of you that have not created a script or used a bash or G-shell before, let's walk through it. The vast majority of the script is something that we've already walked through. Anything that starts with a # or hashtag, that's just a comment. The computer will forget and not read that line at all. The action. As I mentioned, we're using two actions. A get to receive the eligible devices in those advanced device searches, and then a post to send the remote command. Only two commands. That first one will gather the information, and the second will do the update. Note, there is no get word on that first command. That is due to curl in bash defaulting to get. You do not need to specify. The location and endpoint. When you see a $, that indicates a variable. You can type in your Jamf URL and search ID as a variable as to minimize the amount of typing you need to do for the rest of the scripts. The location is your Jamf Pro URL, and the endpoints in this case are advanced mobile device searches for, advanced mobile device search, and the mobile device commands allows you to send those mobile device commands using specific values. In this case, schedule OS update paired with a value of 1 or 2. This is all documented on your /API page. But for reference, 1 is only download the update, and 2 is download and update all in one command. Authentication, as we mentioned earlier, exactly the same. Pop in your credentials, whether you choose plain text or base64 encoded, at the top. And then the data that we're sending and receiving will be in XML format. There are two other things to note. Since there are multiple devices in an advanced search, we need to note all of those devices and retrieve them from that original get command. Depending on your scripting language, there are different ways to gather that information. In bash, one way to get the IDs is by using xmllint and awk. That is found on the line that starts with device IDs. The second thing, now that we have our IDs, is the loop. The last 3 lines are repeated for every device ID that is found from that original advanced search. Similar to the Jamf URL being a variable, we can make each of the individual devices found from that device IDs its own value until the scripts run out of values. This is how we can have one script send so many commands all in such few lines. Loops. Now that we have a script and our advanced searches, we can make multiple scripts where each script is one advanced search per script. This is purely due to a potential network limitation or, again, resources. So, say you wanted to update the desired devices from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. and you had 11 advanced device searches. Clone that script 11 times and adjust the advanced search ID to the necessary and corresponding ID in the advanced search. 2, I'd rename the script to some sort of naming convention that corresponds to what is expected to happen. For example, update search ID 1 at 5 p.m. or update search ID 2 at 6 p.m. Do this for every advanced search, but keep in mind it's the same script over and over. And finally, add the cron jobs to the cron. In terminal or your command line interface, run crontab-e to edit the list of cron tabs. Add in the corresponding time and cron format by the command to run our script. This would read at the 17th hour or 5 p.m. on the 22nd day of the 9th month, which is September. Run the script. Each line indicates a specific time that the advanced search can update. Go ahead and save cron tab, then sit back and enjoy your evening. Because we have set it for a specific time at a specific day, one script per hour, we don't have to worry about it running multiple days in a row. It's only going to run on the day we specify. Since you just made a bunch of scripts, you can just keep those and adjust the timing for whenever the next time the devices need updating. To wrap it up, yes, Jamf Pro has a ton of automation capabilities built in, and the workflows are truly endless with the API, be it timed automations, Jamf's webhook capability, or maybe there's an integration already out there. I even wrote a tool along with a coworker called Java, or Jamf Automation and Webhook Assistant, that allows you to accomplish both timed automations and webhook automations all in one. You can check it out at jamf.it/Java. In fact, the cron stuff we went through can be accomplished in just clicks. Instead of managing cron tab on your own, Java can do it for you. For a deeper dive on Java, check out the JNUC 2020 GitHub gallery. If you find yourself wishing Jamf Pro could do that one more thing, don't be afraid of the command line. Dive in and make some robots. Thank you.